Hello everyone. Today we are going to start chapter 9 of plus 2 chemistry, that is the coordination compounds. So in this we will talk about more about the complex salts where there are more number of more number of atoms, ions. So let's first discuss about what is coordination means. So we will talk about three things before starting coordination compounds. We will uh, discuss three things which you previously know. One is the ionic bond, covalent bond, and coordinate bond. Because coordination compound is in direct connection with the coordinate bond. So let's discuss about this ionic bond, covalent bond, and coordinate bond. So we all know that how ionic bond is formed. Suppose we have a metal, right, and a non-metal X. What happens is metal loses one electron and acquires positive charge. On the other hand, X gains one electron and acquires negative charge. This electron is transferred to the half-filled orbital of the X. So when this electron is transferred, metal acquires positive charge and the non-metal, suppose it acquires the negative charge. Both of them are attracted to each other by strong electrostatic force of attraction. So that means the forces responsible for their bringing together are the, so what type of forces exist between them are the electrostatic forces of attraction, right? It is very simple how ionic bond is formed by the loss of electron and the gain of the electron. So when the electron is lost from one atom and transformed to the other, the one which loses the electron, it acquires the positive charge, and the one which gains the electron, that acquires the negative charge. The cation and the anion are brought together by strong electrostatic forces of attraction. On the other hand, suppose we have X and Y, right? So what happens is X, and suppose we mention it by a cross, what happens is they mutually share the electrons, right? X and Y, a bond is formed, right? So this is when there is equal share of electrons. What happens is there is equal sharing of electrons. You getting my point? So when there is both of this, ionic bond is the transfer of electron. So in other words, if we talk, it is transfer of electrons. But when you talk about covalent and coordinate bond, there is sharing of electrons. So what happens is when there is equal sharing of electrons, then a covalent bond is formed. When there is unequal sharing of electrons, both involve sharing of the electrons, when there is unequal sharing of electrons. So how this works? For that you need to understand that suppose we have a atom M which has empty orbital. This is the empty orbital, right? On the other hand, suppose Y, it has two electrons. So what happens is Y donates its electrons into the empty orbital of this. As a result, both of them share. Firstly, only Y has two electrons. It donates its electron to the empty orbital of the metal, but it does not leave its electron. What does this seem? That both of them, M also and Y also, they are sharing the electron. So how this coordinate bond can be represented like this? So there is, what happens is, there is donation of electron pair into the empty orbital of M. Right, means Y has extra lone pair of electrons. So this Y has extra lone pair of electrons. What happens is donates its electron density into the empty orbital of M. Hence, this is how a coordinate bond is formed. So as you see in the covalent bond, X gives its one electron, Y also gives its one electron. As a result, they equally share. So they are the equal partners. Here, Y donates. M does not donate anything. M does not donate its electron density. Rather, it accepts the electron density from Y into its empty orbital, and this is how a coordinate bond is formed. So the coordinate bond is represented by an arrow, where the head of the arrow points towards that atom which accepts the electron pair, and the tail points out towards that atom which donates its electron density. I hope I have made it clear. So there are three types of bonds: ionic bond, covalent bond, and coordinate bond. So as the chapter name mentions, that's the coordination compound. So that means all the species that we are going to do, they will have coordinate bond. So I hope the coordinate bond is clear to you. I can also give an example, but that's not related to the coordination compound, that's only related to the coordinate bond. Suppose I have BF3. B has empty p orbital. On the other hand, NH3, it has lone pair of electrons, right? So what happens is N donates its electron density into the empty orbital of BF3. As a result, a coordinate bond is formed between nitrogen and B. So this is a coordinate bond. Is it clear, all of you? So let's talk about, now we will in detail talk about, our next topic is, we will talk about firstly the complex compounds. Let's talk about the complex compounds, because what are complex compounds? Firstly, first we'll talk about, that is, they have high molecular mass. The complex compounds have higher molecular mass, not like BF3 or NH3, they have high molecular mass. Next is, they are formed by, how they are formed? They are formed by combination of two or more simple salts. Right, they're not formed by atoms, they're formed by combination of two or more simple salts in a definite proportion. In a definite proportion, right? We divide the complex compounds. Chalo, for example, if you see that, we will talk about the complex compounds. For example, like type we'll discuss later. For example, if you know about Fitkadi, which is potash alum, that is called as the Fitkadi jadi hai, that is called as the potash alum. It has a complex formula. For example, K2SO4 dot Al2SO4 whole thrice dot 24 water. So why it is a complex compound? Because it is formed from two simple salts. What are those simple salts? K2SO4, Al2SO4 whole thrice plus 24 water. Then there is another compound which is suppose potassium ferrocyanide, which is K4 FeCN6, right? So this is a kind of a complex compound. You have never heard it before. So these are simple salts. This is also a simple salt. They are combined together in a definite proportion to form a complex compound, right? Now the complex compounds, that we are talking, the complex compounds, they are divided into two parts. One are the double salts and the other are the coordination compounds. Double salts and the coordination compounds. Now let's talk about the double salts. Double salts. So how these double salts are formed? They are formed by combination of two or more stable simple compounds in equimolar proportions. So very important is the equimolar proportions. Both of them, both the salts, how many salts are, how many salts that you are taking for the preparation of the double salts, their ratio should be equal. Now, like previously we discussed about the potash alum. So in the double salts we have potash alum, for example K2SO4 dot Al2SO4 whole thrice dot 24 water. Or Mohr's salt, there is another double salt which is FeSO4 dot, closely observe what I am writing, dot 6H2O. So these are the examples of the double salt. K2SO4, Al2SO4 whole thrice, they are the two salts. They are combined in equimolar proportions. Similarly, in Mohr salts, there is FeSO4 and NH4 whole twice SO4 dot 6H2O. Again, they are in the equal proportion. So when they combine, they form a double salt. We'll talk about this, how you can distinguish between a double salt and a coordination compound. But let's first discuss about what are coordination compounds. How they are formed? They are formed by combination of simple salts which may or may not be in equimolar proportion. So their equimolar proportion is not required. They may or may not be in the equimolar proportion. For example, if you combine NiCl4, that's the the simplest compound. If I have suppose NiCl2 plus 4, this is simple salt, and you combine it with 4 ammonia, you will get a complex like this. Right? This is a coordination compound. How? Nickel has empty orbitals. For ammonia, they have lone pair of electrons. they surround nickel atom and donate their electron density into the empty orbitals of the nickel, and this has nickel 2 positive, and to balance it 2 Cl negative are outside. So this is how a coordination compound is formed. So we will discuss in detail about this. This is just to distinguish between a double salt and a coordination compound. Here it is mandatory that the two simple salts should be in the equimolar proportion. Here there is no such case. Here we are not taking equimolar proportion. This is how a double salt is formed. This is how a coordination compound is formed. I completely understand it's very difficult to understand how this is formed, but at this moment this is just an example. We will discuss in detail. So let's now further talk about how this coordination compound is formed. So what are these coordination compounds? The coordination compounds are the ones, so I'll try to use the abbreviations. The coordination compounds are the ones in which the central atom is what? Here it is nickel. The central atom is linked to a number of ions or neutral molecules by coordinate bonds. So here most important is by the coordinate bonds. So what happens is the coordination compounds are the ones in which the central atom is linked to a number of ions or neutral molecules by coordinate bonds. That is by coordinate bonds. How? That is by the donation of lone pair of electrons by these ions or neutral molecules, by these ions or neutral molecules to the empty orbitals of central metal atom or ion. This is how a coordination compound is formed. These may be neutral because they have a lone pair. So these lone pair are donated to the empty orbitals of the central metal atom or the ion. This is how a coordination compound is formed. So as you see, there is no such talk of the coordination compounds in the double salts. They are salts. So that means ionic bond would have is there. Whereas in coordination compound, coordinate bond is also there as well as the ionic bond is also there. So that's a little complex. So now at this stage we are there to discuss about what is the difference between a double salt and a coordination compound. First is, listen very carefully because you have to write on your own. In double salts, so the two or more simple salts must be present in equimolar proportion, whereas they may not be present in the equimolar proportion. Another is, these double salts, when they are dissolved in water, they dissociate into their respective ions, right? For example, if you have Mohr salt, it will dissociate into its respective ions from wherever you started. But in case of coordination compound, no such, it does not dissociate into its ions in the solution. This is the main case, very very important. So if we take the example, so another is the difference between double salt and the coordination compound. So first it was So let's talk about this. I mean, what are the double salts? So first is the same. They are simple salts. They contain double. So if we talk about double salt, and here is the coordination compound. ਜਿਹੜੇ double salts है, they combine. They usually contain 2 or more salts in equimolar proportion. Here may or may not, they are formed. So I'll simply write they may or may not be in equimolar proportion. That's the main point. Next important point is double salts exist. They exist only in the solid state. They exist only in the solid state. In aqueous solution, they dissociate completely. In aqueous solution, they dissociate completely. How they dissociate? For example, if we have Mohr salt, not potash alum, Mohr salt, for example, FeSO4, NH4 whole twice, SO4 dot 6H2O. So if they are dissolved in the aqueous solution, they will dissociate into their respective ions. टूट गए ना, SO4 2 negative plus NH4 positive, 2 moles of SO4 2 negative plus 6 water. So but ਜਿਹੜੇ coordination compound है, they exist in both. They exist in both solid as well as in aqueous solution. They exist in both. Why? Because if we have a complex, suppose we have a complex NH3 whole twice, whole 4 Cl2, if you dissolve them in water, so the jada coordination intensity hai there, that remains as it is, NH3 whole 4 plus 2Cl negative. So this coordination intensity, this one, it does not dissociate. It remains as it is. It does not dissociate into Ni2 positive and 4NH3. It remains as it is, even in the aqueous solution. Now, about the bond we have already discussed. They are the ionic compounds. They are the ionic compounds. They do not contain any coordinate bond. They are the ionic compounds. Here if we talk about, they may or may not be ionic, but what is the main thing? They always, the complex part, but the complex part means the one which is enclosed in the square bracket, the complex part always contains coordinate bonds. It always contains the coordinate bond. Here it may contain the coordinate, here it does not contain the coordinate bond. Only the bond present is the ionic bond. Whereas if we talk about the coordination compounds, they may or may not contain the ionic bond, but the complex part which is enclosed in the square bracket, why it is enclosed, so we'll discuss about this in the further chapter. So they always contain the coordinate bond. This is the main thing. The next point to note is very, very important. A double salt, it loses its identity. It loses its identity in the solution because it dissociates into that, na? So it loses its identity, whereas it retains its identity. It retains its identity in the solution, because it does not dissociate into ions even in the aqueous solution, hence it retains its identity. Next, the most last important point is the properties of the double salts. The properties of the double salt are same as those of its constituent elements, or you can say the compounds, means whatever the properties FeSO4 as independently shows, the same it will show in the case of Mohr salt. Whereas the properties of the, this is important to note, the properties of coordination compound, of coordination compounds are different from constituents, are different from its constituent. Like what NiCl2, initially NiCl2 was the starting point, NiCl2 showed the different properties, but this shows different properties, so their properties are completely different. So this was the main difference between the double salt and the coordination compound. In the next lecture we will discuss more about the coordination compound. So we will in a way start the coordination chemistry, what all terms are used in the coordination chemistry. For now I want you to understand what is a coordinate bond and what is the main difference between a double salt and the coordination compound.